Here's a cracker of a brush. So for today's brush test, I'm going to talk about the artist's Hake. Artist's Hake, actually Hake is pronounced Hake, it's Japanese, but I don't think we stand on perfection here, so we can just say a Hake. A Hake is usually made out of, this one's wet, as you can see, and this one's dry. They're very soft and fluffy. They're made out of goat hair generally, and are very softly interwoven, normally into a wooden brush handle and sewn in. So the Hake hair is generally sewn into split wood like that, and more often than not handmade. They're usually very, very cheap. In fact, these ones probably only cost between $5 and $10. So very cheap. This particular brand is an Art Basics brand, available from the internet, just about anywhere you look, and series 4185. So this is a size 5, and that one is about 2 inches. They talk about these in inches. This one is 1¼ inches. So very cheap brushes, very soft. And what are they for? And why would I want one? Well, I use this one all the time, as you can see by how messy it is, but I do use this one a surprising amount as well. The bigger the painting, the more likely you are to use these. What are they for? Well, they're for washes. So, well, they can do a lot more than washes too. So let's have a go. You know, this one brush, look at that. Now, if I had this on a tilt, this would be a lot more sensible to show you this, but they can wash backgrounds beautifully just in one go. So you can imagine doing your underpainting in this. Of course, you can do anything you like with it after that. You can paint, you know, your tree foliage, to get a bit of tree foliage in there. Let's do that, why don't we? So I'm just digging around in my my golden yellow. So, you know, you could put a bit of tree foliage in there ready to paint something on, you know, paint your actual foliage on. You could even add a little bit of background hills. You know, this is going to be your underpainting, distant hills or whatever, and coming forward into your landscape. So you can see what, you know, how it can paint all of that just in 30 seconds. And of course you'd let that dry. But the beauty of these is their huge wash capacity, and how much water they hold, and of course how much they can paint just in one fell swoop. Now there is another couple of things that are brilliant about Hakes. They do paint large swathes at once, as you can see by the dimensions of the brush, but have a look at how thin the brush edge is. It actually has a rather brilliant point on it, which brings me to my next demonstration on how you can actually use these as a flat brush. So if you wanted to paint something sideways, you know, sort of pointy and flat, they actually can do rather brilliantly. You know, let's say you wanted to paint rocks or something like that, rocks jutting out into the water. Let's say there's some rocks. I might give them a bit of tone there. Let's make these the rocks. And you could even paint the water around them. You know, so rocks jutting into the water, very good for that sideways sort of look. Now there is another great use for Hakes. Even though I've wet this one now, it's probably not going to be all that successful in its demonstration. I'll see if I can find another one. I've just dried that one off a little bit. Let's assume you've made a mistake and have put something rather bold or, you know, too much something in your picture, and you felt like it was going to create a back run, or was a bit too solid or whatever, you can use your Hake to gently rub over and it will easily blend that sort of a thing in. So let's say you did that on your tree here, you wanted less difference between one colour and the next. You can drag a dry Hake, not a wet one, like this is a bit damp, over an area that you've created, and that's particularly good for cauliflowers. So let me just make a cauliflower here on purpose, or back run some people call them. Let's make a big cauliflower there. So that is definitely going to create a cauliflower. You should see it start happening any second. It's definitely happening over this side already. So we'll give it a second. And when that cauliflower begins to form, I'll just take the puddle off. When that cauliflower begins to form, that is often not realised by the student. You can use a dry Hake to just gently flick out the sides of that, and what it actually does is evens out the wetness between one area and another, so that you no longer get a cauliflower or back run that's wicking one area into the other. It's sort of evened all the wetness out. So that's another great use for a Hake. I hope you enjoyed my Hake talk, an indispensable part of your watercolour equipment and very, very cheap. So rush out to the art shop and buy yourself a Hake.